A special Wednesday episode of the Big Old Belt Wrestling Podcast is on the air. It's Wednesday, April 12th, 2017. I'm Jamal. You can find me on the Twitter at Giant Crab. Two James, hello.
What up? What up?
And Mike from Nova Pro Wrestling, Mike King, one of the co-owner of the great Nova Pro Wrestling, having a show this weekend, Friday night at the JCC in Fairfax, Virginia, 8900 Little River Turnpike. Doors open at 7:30. Bell time is at 8. It's the Commonwealth Cup of 2017. Mike, hello.
What's going on, guys? Super excited for this Friday night. Probably the biggest show we've ever put on, to be honest. So I'm glad to be on here promoting the show.
There's so many questions about the show, and of course, all will be revealed over the course of Friday evening, which is why you got to go. It's $20, 25 for front row. Of course, ARIK Royal. He's in the competition, the 12-man tournament for the Commonwealth Cup. Either he loses for the first time ever in Nova Pro, or he wins it all. Do you have a favorite to win it? I know I have mine.
You know, you look at ARIK Royal, you look at his undefeated streak at this point, and a thing that stands out to me, guys, is that he has beaten a third of the field. He's beaten Tim Donst. He's beaten Donovan Dijak. He's beaten Hot Sauce TRACY Williams. He's beaten David Starr. He's been 4 guys in this 12-man tournament. That's got to give him an advantage alone. Even if he had only won 4 matches up until this point, and it was against those 4 guys, that's an advantage. But he's also undefeated. But the thing you gotta think about is that to stay undefeated, to win the whole tournament, you gotta win 3 matches in one night. That's a lot of endurance. That's a lot of cardio to have right there. And ARIK's a big man. He's agile for his size, but who knows, what happens when he has to have his first round match or his second round match or his final. Who knows how much he's going to have left in the tank by the end of the night if he's got to go all the way to the finals.
Yeah, I agree. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, and you definitely have some interesting, a vast field. It's 12 guys, but a different array of styles. You have the hard hitting, ARIK Royal, Bobby Shields, and you have my personal pick to win it, Logan Easton LaRoux, from the gated community, inside of the gated community, surrounded by another gated community. The drive alone, to have the endurance to make that drive down there through the multiple gates of communities, has got to push him over the top as far as the endurance, the wherewithal to get through. I guess the biggest thing about it is you don't know who your next opponent is going to be until it happens. So it's impossible to prepare for. So that's another interesting aspect of the tournament. But the tournament itself, how did it come about? Were you guys planning some kind of cup, since there isn't a traditional Nova Pro belt? And was it supposed to be this? Did this tournament start out or as you originally planned it?
So the tournament actually was an idea from the beginning. It wasn't always the Commonwealth Cup. There was a couple different names, but the tournament has always been an idea since the beginning. At one point, it was going to be an 8-man tournament one night. I made the decision when we made the date official for the Commonwealth Cup that it needed to be 12. I thought 8 was a little short-sighted. I just thought it was not enough, but also 16 would be too many to do in one night. And we couldn't, with a tournament.
It's a long show.
And with any major expense in wrestling, when you're still a new promotion, any major expense in wrestling, you kind of got to look at the risk. And I thought 12 was perfect for a one-night show. That's not to say that if this Friday night is successful, which it's looking like it's going to be very successful. That's not to say that there isn't a chance that next year or the year after the format would change to maybe 16 or 24 over the course of 2 nights. But let's get through Friday night first. And I think even keeping it short at 12, it kind of adds the prestige. So many people can be considered for a 24-person tournament. A 12-person tournament, you got to pick, the 12 of the very, very best, and that's kind of what we have here this Friday night.
That's go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And speaking of the 12, I mean, obviously, upon the rollouts of each participant throughout the weeks, it was clearly that SONJAY was going to be a no-brainer to enter this tournament, and he actually had to be replaced by Jonathan Gresham. And I'm wondering, he's a fan favorite of Nova Pro. Some can say he is Nova Pro, but he's not going to be able to be in this tournament. Is there anything that can be discussed about why he is not able to be in the tournament, why he was replaced?
I'll say this. Sonjay gets our dates like 5 minutes after I do. Like as soon as I sign the deal with the building and everything, Sanjay's the first guy I call. Sonjay is very instrumental in everything we do at Nova Pro Wrestling. I actually don't think a lot of the fans realize how important he is to the company and to the six, and how much value he has for us. And I'll say this: Sonjay considers us family. I've said it a bunch of times. I've known Sonjay since I was 5 years old. I'm 22, and I've known Sonjay since I was 5 years old. And I was at his very first match. His very first match happened on my very first live event I've ever attended. So we've been close for a very long time. He does not miss Nova Pro shows for just anything. I've been promised not to say exactly what it is, but it's very important for him, and it's very important for his family that he is not in Fairfax this Friday night, that he's where he needs to be. So that's what I'll say about that, to be honest.
Understood. I mean, immediately when we heard the news, nobody wants to absolutely think the worst or the best or whatever it may be. We just automatically extended our wishes out to him, because we know when we see Nova Pro, we see you, we see your pops, we see Sonjay. It's synonymous to see you three each and every time. So to hear he wasn't going to be in it, we just extended out our blessings to him to make sure everything was okay. And he'll still be in the building by heart, no matter if you think about it. But again, just so it's clear on air, whatever it is that's going on, we always extend our best wishes to him and good luck in whatever it may be.
I do gotta say real quick on Sonjay's behalf, he was extremely looking forward to the tournament, and I think honestly, I don't know if he was still in it, he would be my favorite to win it. With ARIK undefeated and all, I just think it didn't mean anything more to anybody else in that field than Sonjay to win that tournament. So
absolutely. I mean, think about the moment of him holding the cup at the very end of the tournament. It just seems so perfect, so surreal, like it's meant to happen. So with that being said, I can almost ensure that he's going to be wreaking vengeance when we return back in May, right?
Yeah, he'll be back in the building in May, and it's like I said to him when he had to cancel, it's just 11 more months to the next Commonwealth Cup. So yeah, just be ready next year.
And his replacement, Jonathan Gresham, who just recently signed with ROH, which is absolutely a really interesting replacement. With that being said alone, why was he the pick for you here?
With Sonjay being out of the tournament, like we've said, Sonjay missing a Nova Pro show, it's such a big void. It doesn't quite always feel the same. I wanted to have somebody that the fans would get excited.
Think we lost.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Bear with us.
Mike?
Bear with us. Are you there, Mike?
Night. But, with Gresham, I kind of think, I kind of think he might be the dark horse to win this whole thing, because you think about him and you think about the kind of career he's had. He's former CZW World Champion. He's won Best of the Best, another prestigious tournament in independent wrestling. Like you said, he's signed with Ring of Honor now. He has the pedigree to have already been in the Commonwealth Cup, but he was asked to be a replacement. So he might have that chip on his shoulder. He might want to prove to me and like everybody else in the office this Friday night that, he belonged in this tournament. He should have been asked before somebody pulled out. So, he's definitely my dark horse pick to win the whole thing.
Especially with that match with him against Donovan Dijak, I can almost assure you that the fans would love to see another round of that, and I'm sure he has something to prove there as well too. So definitely going to be interesting. A lot of the combinations that can happen there is going to be really good. So I'm very, very much intrigued. Jamal?
Yeah, I was going to say that Dijak has got to be my dark horse to win it. But really, you can make a case for anyone to take home the Commonwealth Cup. Since it is the Commonwealth Cup, obviously Virginia is a Commonwealth, but there are 3 other states that are Commonwealths also. Is this something that could be defended? Obviously, it's going to remain with Nova Pro, but is this something that welcomes challengers from the other Commonwealths to come through?
You know, when I had originally planned for the Commonwealth Cup, I considered doing a tournament where it was just people from Virginia, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts, since those are the 4 Commonwealths. But that just didn't seem feasible, and I also did not want to exclude anyone that, you know, has a great record on our roster, is a fan favorite on our roster, by doing that. But you know, there is potential to possibly, you know, further down the line as we go through the years of the tournament, maybe in a couple of years doing one in Pennsylvania or in Massachusetts or even Kentucky as the years go by. I think there's a strong possibility of doing that, especially in Massachusetts or Pennsylvania. So,
well, but maybe not go there because this is our thing. We need to keep it here. But you know, maybe the champion of a Pennsylvania promotion, a Kentucky, a Massachusetts promotion, a Puerto Rican promotion, because technically they're a Commonwealth as well. So, I mean, that'd be kind of awesome to see Savio Vega versus, you know, the Commonwealth Cup champion into the next tournament. But
very true, very true. Well, as you mentioned that, let's talk about Dijak and the fact that he's you know, he's from Boston and he's considered the ace of New England. So that's kind of like having another Commonwealth champion in the tournament, I would say.
Exactly. Exactly. So it makes sense for Dijak or to enter, and being a former CCW champion, Gresham obviously makes sense as well. So yeah, that would be kind of cool to see down the road.
Tim DONST calls Lancaster, Pennsylvania home, so that's another guy.
Oh. Well, so now it's already working out.
There you go.
Yeah. So going forward, we have the Commonwealth Cup for 2017. The cup itself, I think that, you know, Logan Easton LaRoe is going to take it. He's going to have a nice appletini and drink from the cup, as you do. There's a party at Wegmans in Leesburg, but so that's already going to be set. But going forward, were there any other specialty events? You know, the Commonwealth Cup is a big deal. But was this the first, you know, specialty event that you guys were planning, or is this the one that made the most sense to pull the trigger on first?
I'd say it's the first and the one that made the most sense. I'll also say that there has been talk and about doing kind of like a rumble in a way, like kind of like a rumble show. So there's been talk about doing that at some point. I don't know when that will possibly come about, but there has been some serious talks about that. There's been with the Black Friday show that we plan on doing every year. Last year we had a Survivor Series match. There is a conscious effort to kind of do a Survivor Series match on every Black Friday show. It's kind of like our tribute to Survivor Series. But yeah, the Commonwealth Cup is definitely like the first and like I think the most important one we got off the ground for sure.
No, absolutely. So, and again, that's the Commonwealth Cup this Friday at the Northern Virginia Jewish Community Center, 8900 Little River Turnpike in Fairfax, Virginia. Doors open at 7:30. Bell time's at 8. You can get your tickets at the door or at NovaProWrestling.tumblr.com. The front row is $25, and the remaining general admission is $20. But I want to talk about the JCC itself. Around the country, you know, including locally, we've seen it happen in Montgomery County, Maryland. We've seen it happen in Richmond and in Hampton Roads area where cowards, it's the only PG way to call them, have been vandalizing with racial epithets and other insensitivities Jewish community centers around the country. I think in that regard, it's not only important for the promotion, it's important for the community to still show that if we don't go to 2 events, the terrorists win. And that's exactly what I think that people who post that type of propaganda in a very, very, very cowardly way, it's important for you to come out to show support, not to the community center itself specifically, but to the small business and all the other businesses that run within. So how has been the reaction at the JCC following such an attack like this?
I know a lot of the people at the JCC kind of want to move on and forget about it. I know, just to me personally, the JCC holds a very special place in my heart. I don't talk about it a lot, but not a lot of people know this. But first going to start running shows and stuff, I called a lot of buildings in Northern Virginia. I called maybe 100 buildings in Northern Virginia, and the JCC was the only building that would give me the time of the day. They were incredibly on board with everything, and they were super accommodating with everything on the very first show, and have been since. Not just for me as somebody that rents the JCC and stuff like that. Just you talk to people that go there. Always said whenever you sign up, like I've seen people go there for our shows and talk to Matt, who's the director who ends up all our Nova Pro shows and makes himself very accessible to all the fans. I see a lot of fans talk to him and they're like, "Oh, I wish I was Jewish so I could so I could use the JCC facilities all the time." And Matt's always like, all faiths are welcome. So it's not just for Jewish people. It's an incredibly important community center that helps a lot of kids in the area. And honestly, what happened to them almost brought me to tears. It was very saddening, and we want to do everything we can this Friday night. That's why we're accepting donations on the JCC's behalf. If you can't be there this Friday night, please go to their website, jccnv.org. Donate through them, because they need all the help they can get to get this hate off of their beautiful facility and to just move on from everything that's happened. And to happen during Passover is just incredibly disgraceful and just disgusting by those people that did that. And let's just help the JCC get through this, guys.
Yep. Could you give that website one more time if you want to make a donation to help remove very hateful graffiti off the Jewish Community Center in Northern Virginia?
It's jccnv.org. There will be a button on the toolbar that says donate. Just go through there. There's plenty of options, even if it's just like $1, whatever you can do. You know what I mean?
Right. So it's a great cause for a great facility, and if you haven't been to a wrestling a Nova Pro show there, it's one of the nicer indie shows that you'll find. I've been Two Chambers and I were in the actual front door to hell in Brooklyn last year at an Evolve show, and we've been in some other less than desirable places. And the JCC is certainly not one of those places. It's a beautiful building that can really get raucous when there's a good show going on. And it will be a good show this Friday, the Commonwealth Cup for 2017 at the Jewish Community Center of Northern Virginia. So let's switch gears, something a little bit more festive. WrestleMania just passed. Last time I saw you on the Twitter, you were on a 29.5-hour train ride to Florida. How did that go?
That was fun. Sonjay, let's big ups to Sonjay for canceling while I was on the train ride, so I had something to do. But honestly, like it was Pops's call. Pops and I go to WrestleMania every year. It's both my Christmas and birthday present every year since I was like 12. So it's this year, the past couple of years since running the promotion, we've been trying to find ways to cut down costs so we can still go to WrestleMania. His girl went down a couple days early to go, check out the theme parks and stuff. I'm not really a big theme park guy, neither is my dad. So we just decided, hey, let's take the train down, save a few bucks, and try to have some fun on it. So
I haven't been to a WrestleMania since 21 in Los Angeles. No, correction, 29 in Giant Stadium. And for me, it's a combination of things. It's the progression of WWE into what they are now, the city itself hosting it, and do I really want to watch a wrestling ring from the last row of a football stadium? So how was your experience in Orlando, a smaller venue than Dallas, but certainly not a small venue at all?
I'd say this. I'd say, you know, in Dallas, we were in the upper decks above the entrance. And in Orlando, I was like where the end zone would be for a football game. So it's definitely a better experience just because, you know, it was just a better view. To me, I always enjoy when WrestleMania is outside. I just think it goes a lot. It just feels a lot more exciting than a dome show. And I've been going to wrestling shows since I was 5 years old. I've been to like 8 WrestleManias. The Hardy Boys coming out in Orlando was the biggest pop I've ever experienced as a wrestling fan. So that kind of made it all worth it. Funny story. I went to about 3 shows that weekend that the Hardy Boys were either on or at. And my wife came down. This was her first WrestleMania weekend. And her whole thing was she wanted to see the Hardy Boys. And every time that I saw the Hardy Boys, she was either in the bathroom or sick or just didn't go to that show for some reason.
Oh, no.
And she was very upset. And then we got to WrestleMania. And then the Hardy Boys come out after the New Day announces them. And they come out, and I look over here and like, see, you got to see the Hardy Boys.
So, speaking of the Hardy
Boys, did you take
Boys,
the train back home? I'm sorry. Did you take the train back home?
No, we flew back home.
Oh,
we weren't
That
dumb
makes
enough
sense. Thank God.
Speaking of the Hardy Boys, what is your take about how they're able to complete the rest of their independent shows after signing to WWE? Which, from a person who doesn't have promoter experience or knows the business, and it seems a lot of other Twitter people also as well too was a little bit conflicted about this. But what's your insight actually about how that was possible? Considering that they're not on NXT. But they are on the main roster. They're carrying the belts with them and all that as well too.
I have always been told, and this may or may not be true, but as far as like my dealings in the business and how things have worked out for me, I found it to be true. Told that when you sign a WWE contract, you let them know your dates that you have to fulfill, and it's usually like within 6 weeks or something of you signing the contract that you can fulfill all those dates. I don't know how far you guys' knowledge of indie wrestling goes, but when Eddie Guerrero went back in 2002, he worked a ton of indie dates as the Intercontinental Champion.
I didn't know that.
Like, there's actually there's a Ring of Honor show, third one, where Amazing Red wears the Intercontinental title belt to the ring as like a rib. And there's an IWA show where Punk defends the IWA title against Guerrero, and he beats him for it, and he cuts a promo about how he should be IC champ now because he beat Eddie Guerrero. But I don't like in my own experience promoting. I'll say this: Cedric. It depends on like the person. I'm sure the Hardy Boys have a lot more clout than Cedric did at the time to kind of do this, but Cedric had to pull off of Nova Project 2 last year because he signed a WWE deal. And I think that might be because they were like starting him right away and needed him like down there as soon as possible. But with the Hardys, I'm sure it's different. I know I don't know if this is true, but I've seen on a lot of their indie dates that they're only doing signings now. So any show where they were supposed to wrestle, they're only doing a signing now. Which
they did a show in Pennsylvania
where
they came out, and they came out. They did a bit in the ring, but they weren't actually wrestling when they were scheduled to wrestle.
Yeah,
which I think is fair because those people bought tickets to see the Hardys, so they saw the Hardys.
Yeah, right.
So my other question is too, from all the shows that you've seen when you're down in Orlando, who would you say is somebody that maybe caught your eye that there's a possibility that you may be trying to work something in the future to have them up in Virginia this year?
Masquerita Dorada.
Nice.
This is no joke. You can quote me on this. At some point before Nova Pro closes in like 10 or 20 years or whatever, I will do Masquerita Dorada versus Veda Scott. That,
Okay.
that will be a match that happens. Just because as soon as we went to the CZW show down there, and he did the scramble with like Ricochet Page and Alexander James and stuff. And as soon as he came out, my wife turned to me and she was like, that'd be really, it'd be really cool to see him wrestle Veda. And then I texted Veda and I was like, hey, would you ever want to wrestle Masquerade Dorada? And then she was like, well, that's only my favorite wrestler ever. So yeah. So that's probably going to happen at some point. I definitely want to get Keith Lee up here. We discussed that on the last show, but just seeing him wrestle the 2 or 3 times I did over Mania weekend definitely just made me, added a little bit extra urgency to that. So you'll probably see him sooner rather than later. And I think we need to bring Joey Janela back.
Yeah.
There's this presence about the guy that I think is really, you can't really teach in wrestling, and Joey Janela is really good at all of those things. So
that's funny because of the 3 people I was going to mention next. First, I'll start off with Veda Scott, who actually shed some blood down there, but again, also working overtime as always. Joey Janela, I heard, had the best promotion of the weekend. It was a stacked card nonetheless, so I had confidence that a lot of people was going to be talking about it. And then a lot of people were saying that that Keith Lee and Donovan Dijak was the match of the weekend, which I didn't get a chance to see. But
it was insane.
Yeah, I was there live for that one, and that match was absolutely incredible. So
I watched it on the way to work because there's no way I could stay up that late. What time did that start?
Didn't that start at 12?
The Keith
The
Lee
show started at 12, but they were the main event.
The Keith Lee Dijak match actually happened at like 5 in the afternoon, if I remember correctly, on like Friday.
Oh. Oh, okay. That was the show before Beyond. The Beyond show was did start at midnight.
Riddle.
Oh yes,
yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And I wonder what time that match started. You still pose the same question. What time did that match made? 2 o'clock?
I think I remember it got in the ring at like 2:50. I was already in a hotel room drinking at that point. So that match had definitely happened at like 2 or 3. I remember like looking at my phone and looking up at like, I think I was looking up Kerry Awful of the Carnies, and I was like, oh, Dijak and Riddle just got in the ring, and it was like 2:45.
Yeah, well, he said that he was going to hop a cab to the airport and make it home to watch the show. So, heck of a night if you can pull it off.
And my last question about Orlando, I also saw that you tweeted, and I also am definitely going to back you on that. You think Nova Pro should have a show next WrestleMania weekend? I mean, what efforts does it take to make such a thing in progress?
I don't even know, man. Like, it seems like such an undertaking. But let WWN know, let WrestleCon know if you're listening to this and you want to see us down there in New Orleans. I know me, Stutzy, and a couple other people definitely want to run a show in New Orleans next year. I had such a kick-ass time when Mania was down there last time. And I definitely think we could bring a little something different to the table. You looked at a lot of the thing that got me about a lot of the WrestleMania cards, and if you looked at a lot of them, the same guys just wrestling different matches on every show for the most part.
Yeah.
And I definitely think we can bring something different to the table if we were given the opportunity to have a show in New Orleans next year. And I definitely think it could even be, it doesn't necessarily have to be an Nova Pro show. I get it. Like, it's hard to advertise a promotion with a Virginia map as their logo in New Orleans. But, I definitely think with the powers that be, with me, Brad, and, everybody else in charge at Nova Pro Wrestling, I think we could definitely bring something new, different, and exciting to WrestleMania weekend next year. So, let the people know, let WrestleCon, let WWN know that you want to see us put on a kick-ass show next year, because I guarantee if we had the opportunity, we definitely do it.
Excellent. So the next show in the present coming up this Friday night is the Commonwealth Cup of 2017, the first ever, therefore the best ever Commonwealth Cup of 2017. $25 for front row tickets, $20 for general admission, and we have a 12-man tournament. You can find the list of participants at novaprowrestling.tumblr.com. It's at the Jewish Community Center of Northern Virginia in Fairfax. That's on 8900 Little River Turnpike, just outside of the Beltway in Fairfax, Virginia. 8 o'clock bell time, 7:30 starts. It's going to be a heck of a night, and I'm jealous because I won't be there. So cheer the guys on in person for me, but you have to go. It's going to be a great show.
I'll be there, so I'll cheer for you if you.
Oh, way to rub it in. It's great. It's fantastic. It's good for you.
For sure.
So, Mike, once again, man, thanks for coming on. We love talking to you. Love talking Nova Pro. And glad you made it back from Mania. I was very concerned about the midnight train to Georgia that you took. And it was
scary at one point. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, there is a South Carolina. I'll say that much. It gets pretty dicey down there. Time seems to wind backwards down there. But I digress. Mike, Nova Pro, it's always a great pleasure. We'll catch you hopefully in a month for the May show.
That is titled The Great Gatsby, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, man, The Great Gatsby. It's a name I've always wanted to do. And Lady J tweeted out one time that somebody should do a show with the title The Great Gatsby. And I immediately called her and I was like, do you know that has always been a show I wanted to do? So I had to do it as soon as she tweeted that, just because I didn't want anyone else to take it. It's my idea, damn it. So
patent pending. That's great, man. I can't catch you on this Friday, but I will definitely see you in May. It's Mike King from Nova Pro Wrestling, and we'll see you. Well, hopefully, maybe tomorrow, but sooner than later. This is the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. For 2 James, I'm Jamal. Catch me on Twitter at Giant Crab. For D. Wayne, Mr. Silly Celis, and Dr. M and Absentia, we out. See you next week.